Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Crypto Morning Coffee. I got my coffee locked and loaded, ready to go because we have to talk about the markets. We have a big sell off once again in the markets, and it's not only crypto, but it is especially gold and silver, where trillions have been wiped out and it affected almost everything. We did see the S&P 500 go down, the Dow Jones, the NASDAQ, gold, silver, Bitcoin within 90 minutes. 3.6 trillion US dollars were wiped out. Gold is down almost 4% and has wiped out alone 1.34 trillion, which shows us that we have so much potential because this is basically the entire market cap of crypto that has been wiped out in 90 minutes. It's even more, right? So this shows how much the market could move if capital like this was allocated to crypto, which is not, by the way, right now. Silver is down 10%, and the Bitcoin market obviously is also down 10%. Sorry, not 10%, but a couple of percent here over the last days. Not that much as the traditional market, 6% here. And we have 40% drawdown since Bitcoin rallied back to its previous overhead resistance. Hey, Trucking Hank, good morning to you. Where's the intro? Yeah, the intro, I was not sure if the intro really fits bear market times, but if you and I don't know who else says it needs to be there even in bear market times, then of course I will bring it back. I was thinking it fits more the bull market, but maybe we need it also in the bear market. Coming from the all-time high all the way down, we have dropped 52%. Now we are only down 47% on Bitcoin. But here on the daily, we see really very well what happened, right? If you take the bull market band, we sliced through it, right? We had the cross of the moving averages, and now the bull market band reacts as overhead resistance, right? And as long as we are not coming back to the bull market band, I would also see that the bear market is not stopping. Now today we have important data coming up. Quick check here on the charts. Core inflation rate year over year. Inflation rate month over month. So today we get an inflation reading at 2:30 p.m. European time. Central European time, so somewhere in the morning in the US. We get that inflation reading, and then on the 20th of February, we will get the PCE index, we will get personal income and so on. But the most important reading is really this inflation reading, and then we will see how the market reacts. So it could get volatile once more today. Quick look at the precious metals here that we have seen. So on the monthly, of course, we don't see this drawdown in gold, but here we do see it, right? I mean, this crash was way worse than what happened yesterday, but here we had 20% wipeout of gold, but still in this night yesterday we had 5%, and that obviously on a $30 trillion asset, that is massive, right? That's still a massive drawdown, but gold far over the bull market support band, so gold is looking fine. Silver approaching the bull market support band, right? This is going to be interesting to observe how silver is going to react. Silver is also down right now 40% almost. I mean, who would have thought that silver suffers a drawdown like worse than Bitcoin? Like silver here reacted more volatile than Bitcoin could ever react. So absolute insanity in the market. This is absolutely crazy in my opinion. And then we did see also the S&P 500 and this is also interesting, right? Again, here you see it, right? Bull market support band acting as support, support, support. As long as it's not broken, which we saw here, there's not going to be a shorter term bear market or in the broader stock markets. Here we had some kind of a fake out, but here this is really right. Once you break it significantly and open and close below it, yeah, you have your massive drawdown. This happened, of course, in the S&P. We see it way better in the monthly, how this works and looks. There we did see us coming back to this moving average, and that is, of course, where I expect at some point the S&P to draw back to as well, right? And that's going to be then a big fat crash again. 25% crash right now this would be. But let's talk crypto. So Bitcoin not going down that much, right? Quick, before we talk more crypto, quick one on insider selling, right? This is important. So the insider buy-sell ratio went to 0.24. The people who run America's largest corporations are selling their own stock at the fastest pace in recorded history. Institutional cash, all-time low. Hedge fund leverage, all-time high. Margin debt, 7th consecutive record. The institutions are voting with other people's money and their career incentives. One of them is catastrophically wrong, right? So it's hedge funds on leverage versus institutional cash. And this is, in my opinion, going to at some point result in a crash, right? Not only this, but the mixture that we have. And I will show you one more thing in the Tesla stock, for example. The Tesla stock also went, I mean, this is not unusual yet and unconfirmed yet because we still have 14 days. But here we have the Tesla stock trading below the bull market band, support band, right? And I mean, what Tesla does at the moment is important to many, right? I mean, it's a massive company. Let's see how it really closes the February. But yeah, we did see Tesla going sideways here. That is obviously also important. Now, what's absolutely massive is that this was the drawdown in Bitcoin that we saw last week is the highest realized loss in history, right? On Glassnode, I have to add here. So data that Glassnode has. But obviously there's not much before 2017. We see spikes, and so that means that it's worse than the FTX collapse, which is this one here. Actually, is this the FTX collapse? Yeah, I think so. This is the FTX collapse, right? So it's worse than FTX in terms of realized loss, which is interesting, right? Interesting data. And it could be, and there's an argument to be made that we are very, 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 very close to the bottom. And with very close to the bottom, I mean close to 53,000-ish. Where do I get this from? Power of law, right? Now let's zoom in today, because usually we are lingering around here, but we have the power of law, right? And I just want to stress quickly, when you're looking at this, power of law has never broken below its support line, which is the red line. Never in history, right? We are very, very close. In all circumstances, being close and buying close to the support line was an extremely good market entry. Let's zoom in. We are right now here, right? And on the linear regression fit, which is the green line, let me pull this up for you a little bit so you can see where we are. Here you see it, right? The color support is red. Linear regression fit is the green line. This is the fair value or the mid value, the fair value, right? And then overhead resistance is up here, right? This is Bitcoin would not go higher than this if it were to get to an explosive move. Now, this didn't happen for a long time, this overhead band, right? Okay, you can see the date that we are on the green label of the linear regression fit, plus the price of what the fair value should be, right? This acted as overhead resistance the entire bull market that we just saw, as you can see here, right? If you look at the 2025 bar. What does it also mean? If we were to crash down to 52,795 today, that would be at support, right? Then I would say the bottom is in, right? Because it would not go lower than the power of law support band, right? Or it would make history. It would break a more than 15-year pattern. That also means this support band is going higher by the day, which means if you are going, for example, to the end of February and we didn't crash down to that level, then our support band is already at 53,500, which means that the potential bottom, the longer it takes, will be a little bit higher. So here I'm estimating that we will see our bottom between those 53,000, more likely than not in the range of 57,000, right? Going here to May. The moment that we are in May, 57,000 is the absolute downside limit, basically, right? You see it here, 8th of May. And then going to, let's go to August, where we bottomed the last cycle, right? And just check this out. 1st of August. The moment that we pass August, 60,000 is going to be the limit. And that means that then this would have been the bottom, or this would have been close to the bottom, right? 60,000-ish. We could form out a bottom just here, rounding into this 75,000 layer and then touch this line somewhere here, right? 57, 58, 90,000, 60,000. So this means this is not a bad time to load up, right? This is not a bad time to buy. This could be gradually buying, could be good, right? Quick look at the chat. Cornish Crypto says, good morning, long time no see. And last singular also, awesomeness redefined. Good morning, PH. Thank you very much. This just on the on these charts, right? So this is also an interesting one again, right? There's still this discussion: what is true? Are we dependent on the ISM manufacturing index with crypto, or are we driven by an ominous 4-year cycle that no one can exactly say why, but it's just happening, right? And the power of law that we just watched, right here, if you were to look at this bull market and we would zoom this chart out again, right? And you look at previous bull markets here, this one or this one, right? We did go to the overhead resistance. So there we are. So here, right? We did go here and here to the upper band. Here we fell short a little bit. So how does someone tell me that everything, the 4-year cycle, is intact when you're not even coming out of this fair value zone, right? This is just like here. This is as if you would say this top here was just another cycle in itself, and then we came back to the support band, right? Before and during pandemic time. So how do we explain these intra cycles where we don't go up on exuberance? And in my opinion, and I will stick to this, it's this. Bitcoin and ISM, look at this. The ISM doesn't come out of the slump and Bitcoin doesn't come out into the parabolic zone. Whereas when the ISM was going nuts, also Bitcoin was, right? And then here it was prematurely kept. But here also, right, ISM comes out, swings into the positive, starts going up, and then Bitcoin has this massive rally. And here as well, right? And here in this zone, when it comes down and it is low, we form a massive bottom. Here, the ISM, it's not the ISM being green, it's the ISM going up or going down. That's the important factor. The ISM going up, bull run, sideways, already bear market, right? Anyone who has been in crypto for a few years will know when the fear greed is where it is. It means buy. Exactly, right? I mean, I think the fear and greed index showed a 5, which is historic, just a couple of days ago. So I think this is a great time to buy, and I think also this is just we don't know if this was the bottom, this wick, or not, right? We don't know, and we will start see the there is a historic mark in October, which initiated, so 1010, right? It's called 1010, which is here, right? This is 1010. Which we will see still the aftermath of that. Not everything is clear yet about 1010, right? So it's going to be very interesting because the next months will decide how all of this plays out. The ISM is dependent on the macro or on the measures that the US market, but also in the entire world, that central banks and policymakers are taking, right? How will they get the economy back on track, right? That we will see an ISM PMI boom. And I think everyone who bought up here in 100Ks will just be sad for a moment, because this is just like this, right? This is just like this here, this environment. Here, basically, I would say that we can compare our current situation with the ISM to the one which was pre-pandemic year, coming out of the bear market there, just as we came out of the bear market here, and then here was a top that no one really gave a shit about, right? And then just came back, and then Bitcoin was declared dead. So the question is, do we get this crash? And I think we will get this crash. I think we will get some kind of a crash, because it seems to me that the policymakers in the US and everywhere around the world, they are just waiting with the stimulus environment and the interest rates until something horribly breaks in the economy, so that they are forced and justifying to print money on a massive scale, right? And then these big beautiful bill and so on will be just the first in a line of measures that they are going to take. So I think that maybe, and this would be massive, right? 1 second, let me get rid of this. Okay, so maybe, we don't see it here. Let me go back to another chart. Why is this chart? We need a Bitstamp chart, right? Maybe we are here, somewhere here, right? If we were to compare, I mean, obviously, not every cycle is the same, but maybe we are here in this, and we are in a couple of months we will see this right? The slice through the 200-week MA, which is at, by the way, at 56,000. Right now it's also coming up. So this is where I expect some kind of bottoming. But if we get the crash, we could get this, and this could be a once in a lifetime, or not once in a, because we had one already, but one of the rare mega buying opportunities, right? For everything, Bitcoin, altcoins, everything, because all of that is just on fire sale, right? All of that is just on fire sale. And of course, we're going to observe our indicators. Once we are, when will we see on the TSI this bull crossing, right? But for now, I would say we are just in the beginning of forming a bottom, and this could take from now to everywhere in Q3 or so, where this bottoming is happening, right? Because here the bottom happened, this was the bottom, right? It happened in November, but it only became clear in January 23 that was actually the bottom, right? And then here the bottom happened in December 2018, but it only really became clear in April 19 that this was the bottom. And then here the bottom happened in January 15, December to January 15, so in the end of that year. And it only became really clear that this was really the bottom in October 15, right? So, I mean, there is months and months and months to accumulate. So don't stress it, and always have a dry powder on hand. And then the question is, will there be also a crash in the stock markets where we can also extend our portfolio into that, right? Or add on that side. So I will not stress it. I think that's the most important thing, really learning patience. I mean, if you made it until here, you are right now immune to basically everything that happens in the market, because you have survived this. And we barely remember it, but this was almost an 80% drawdown. And you have survived this so far, which was a 50 something percent drawdown, right? So even if you didn't make money between here and here, you have acquired knowledge that no one else can get if they were not in this market, right? Don't underestimate knowledge, because now, let's say you are either in your 20s or you are in your 30s or you are in your 40s. With the current life expectation, you still have 50, 60, 70 years in front of you, where this knowledge will make you money, right? This is like, it's funny because people go to school and they go to a university and they go to courses, and they never complain about, oh, I made 5 years of university or 6 years of university, I didn't make money. But if people are 2 years in crypto or 4 years in crypto, they didn't make money yet, but they already complain. Instead of seeing it as a similar investment, only that university is much more expensive than losing $10,000 in the crypto market and learning something, right? So I think we really have to see this in perspective. How much you get out of this experience in this market. Of course, if you are sincere in Bitcoin and you didn't make money until here, something went wrong, right? But there was not so much to make in between here. If you bought the top in this crypto market where most people came in, right? Really a lot of people came into the altcoin market, got wrecked here, hoped for an altcoin season, got wrecked again. Right now, the learning curve is complete. Now there is a bear market right now to make money, right? Anyways, that doesn't mean that you buy a shitcoin sitting here, right? That doesn't mean that you have to make your money on Pepe. The money can be perfectly made on Bitcoin, Ethereum, and some other lower risk plays or conviction plays, right? I mean, look at that, 1.3 trillion market cap for Bitcoin. It shows billion. I figured it out now. I have it on German. That's why it says billion basically, but that's our trillion, right? So don't just ignore this. This is 1.32 trillion. Imagine this is what has been wiped out in silver in 30 minutes. That's a market cap, right? Let's look at the Ethereum, right? Ethereum number 2. Ethereum is going really well. It's just 232 billion, not even trillion. It's like 200. This to get to trillion, Ethereum just has to do 4x, right? There's definitely room to accumulate some things. Like what about Solana, right? Solana's number 7 right now, 44 billion market cap. I mean, look at these bottoming numbers. These altcoins are really fat, big and fat right now. Yeah. And once an environment hits for these, right. And Trucking says, I'm still a Ecomi believer, right? Once you have your conviction play, of course, things can be done then, right? And it, of course, also these plays, no altcoin besides 2 to 3 bigger altcoins and some outliers did perform well in this market, right? 1 second, where is I want the Gate.io chart. There it is, right? So let's talk about Ecomi and Veve. Thank you, Trucking Hank, for stopping my rant so that I can discuss this. What do I see for Ecomi? I see Ecomi in this falling channel. And as long as it is in this falling channel, I would say things are not changing that much. But there is some super interesting stuff going on, and that I want to talk about with you. So let me start by this. OrangeKloud technology plans reverse merger with Veve. So this came out 2 days ago. And this company, OrangeKloud, is listed on the NASDAQ, okay? Which means if they are doing this, right, let me just put this, basically, then, if I understand it correctly, Veve is the first NFT project on the NASDAQ. So, let's read this. A Singapore-based technology company offering the Emobic no-code platform for the development of mobile applications and software as a service subscription-based ISV solutions. That makes sense, right? Software as a service and mobile applications. I mean, Veve is a mobile application. And then we have the whole thing with the collect chain that we are also going to talk in a second. Today announced the signing of a non-binding letter of intent, a so-called LOI, with a New Zealand-based technology company, Orbis Technology. Orbis is the mothership, basically, that owns or where there is Ecomi and Veve inside, right? Orbis is a global digital intellectual property infrastructure company that enables leading brands to issue, authenticate, and monetize licensed digital assets at scale. Very important. And now we are on articles that also investors in this space are looking at, right? Because now people that are on the NASDAQ, they are getting to know what Orbis and Veve and so on is about. The group operates across IP ingestion, rights management, marketplace infrastructure, and secondary market monetization, providing an end-to-end platform for digital IP lifecycle management. Wow. This is really well written, and I think this is something where I could imagine that if someone didn't know Orbis and Veve and so on, someone would be, hey, how can I invest in this, right? Veve is Orbis's flagship consumer-facing brand and marketplace, serving as a distribution demand engine for the group's underlying IP infrastructure. Pursuant to the letter of intent, the company and Orbis desire to negotiate a transaction with regards to the acquisition and continued operation of Veve by the company through the private issuance and sale of company shares for the acquisition of the entire issued share capital and undertaking of Orbis, the reverse merger transaction. Following the reverse merger transaction, co-founders and shareholders of Orbis would collectively own the majority of the issued shares in the company. So here, David, Dan, and whoever else owns shares, they will still be the majority owners. And current shareholders of the company would hold a minority stake. The company expects to continue with the dual-class share structure following the reverse merger transaction. The parties are working to finalize terms in order to proceed toward definitive implementation agreement on or around February 28. By the end of the month, this should be finalized. So then let's see also about OrangeKloud a little bit. OrangeKloud Technology is a Singapore-based technology company which offers the no-code platform. We have read that already. A suite of mobile applications designed to digitize and streamline operations in the warehousing, sales, ordering, deliver, manufacturing, and other key areas. When I read this, I think about Fidgetals in this merger, right? If you have a structure like digitizing warehousing, sales, ordering, delivery, and manufacturing, I think about IPs being able to utilize this for their physical operations, and then also their digital counterparts to these collectibles, right? But that's just a thought. The industry sectors focus on include food, services, and manufacturing, precision engineering, construction, etc. Not directly the main categories here, but doesn't matter. We will see. Forward-looking statements. Certain statements contained in this press release about future expectation plans and proposals are, as well as any other statements regarding matters that are not historical facts, may constitute forward-looking statements within the meaning of the Private Securities Litigation Reform Act. These statements include, but are not limited to, statements relating to the expected trading comments on the closing dates. Anticipate, believe, continue, could, estimate, expect, intent, blah, blah. Okay, so this is just basically a disclaimer, right? We will not learn much more from that. So we do have OrangeKloud and investor relations and so on. This is bullish. Yes, I agree, Trucking Hank. I think it's very bullish. And I'm very, I'm interested in, let me see if there's anything else in this. The transaction would be structured via private issuance of OrangeKloud shares for 100% Orbis's issued share capital. I think this whole thing is interesting, and we will probably discover along the year why they're doing this and what the basic intent is. I think what could be the case here is that Veve, Orbis, whatever, will have better mechanics to raise capital and to scale by doing this, right? I also asked AI about this, so let's check quickly what AI says. So I asked, there was a reverse merger. So a reverse merger happens when a private company merges into a public company, so that the private company's owners end up in control of the public company. So in that case, OrangeKloud is the public company listed on the NASDAQ. Orbis is the private company. And here you see it. The owners end up in control of the public company. David and Dan and the others end up in control of OrangeKloud, not the other way around. Let's not confuse this. It's often used as a way for private company to gain a public listing without doing a traditional IPO. So this means, in other words, basically Veve has signed a letter of intent, because it's not done yet, it's not signed yet, to go public, right? Orbis is going public without an IPO. Okay. OrangeKloud signed this letter of intent. OrangeKloud would issue shares to acquire all of Orbis and its Veve business. After merger, the founders, shareholders of Orbis would own a majority of OrangeKloud shares. Right, here we have it again. And the OrangeKloud shareholders will hold a minority stake. So they are not in decision making. OrangeKloud expects to keep its current dual class share structure that we have read already, right? Veve's business, which runs as global digital collectible marketplace, would effectively become the main focus of a public listed company. This is important. By this reverse merger, not the software as a service business of OrangeKloud is the relevant part, but Veve will be the main focus of this public listed company. And the Orbis owners would get control over the public entity, bypassing the traditional IPO route. If the deal goes through, the ownership structure, business focus, and potential direction of OrangeKloud will or could shift significantly toward digital IP and marketplace operation rather than in its current no-code mobile app business. Right now, the deal is not yet finalized. This is also important, right? Let's keep this in mind. The deal is not yet finalized, but it's extremely bullish from what we're reading here, right? Because, I mean, if now Veve is the business of this OrangeKloud thing and it is then on the NASDAQ, maybe, I don't know if they can do a renaming or if this will be that, but that would be basically open up for investors to buy also these shares on the NASDAQ and invest into what Veve has to offer, not only by token and collectibles, but also by buying shares in this operation, right? And that gives then Veve the possibility, just as MicroStrategy and so on doing, to issue shares and sell them into the market, raising capital to scale the operation, right? This is another mechanic to, first of all, have way more cash in the war chest to survive much longer and get into, let's say this bear market continues the entire 2026, they can get to 2027 and into a potential new bull market, and then it would go beyond, right? Yeah, what does this mean for OMI? Actually, let's ask this. What does this mean for the Ecomi OMI token? Let's see what AI says. For me, I would say because Ecomi is part of the business, it would also mean that basically the companies invested in that. So here, let's see. No immediate structural change to the token alone. The reverse merger being discussed between OrangeKloud and Orbis Technology Business does not mention any direct change to OMI token contract or tokenomics itself. It's a corporate restructuring. Potential indirect market cap, increased visibility and legitimacy. With Veve becoming a part of NASDAQ listed company, it may attract more institutional attention and credibility for the ecosystem overall, including the OMI token. That could potentially support better liquidity or interest in OMI over time. especially if Veve business metrics grow as a public company. Strengthen the narrative of utility. OMI's utility, particularly the recent launched OMI to gem conversion feature, is now a real working use case that ties the token into everyday activity in Veve. Users convert OMI into in-app gems, and part of the OMI is burned in the process. This merger could further center Veve as the core business of the combined entity. If Veve grows its user base and transactional volume, that could drive more demand and burn activity for OMI indirectly. More transactions, more conversions is more burns. This is bullish in principle for the token's long-term economics if utility continues to grow. Investors' perception speculation. Crypto markets often react to macro and corporate signals as much as fundamentals. If the public markets treat this corporate milestone favorably, it could boost interest in anything tied to Veve, including OMI, regardless of technical changes. Conversely, if the public listing doesn't perform well, it could weigh on sentiment for the ecosystem and thus on OMI. Very neutral view, right? But there is a high potential here. So obviously no guaranteed price outcome, right? That we know. Nothing is guaranteed in these markets. What does give OMI utility? Convert OMI into Veve gems, token burns and conversion, rewards and loyalty futures, blah, blah, right? We know that. In this market. So no direct change for now, but what does give a direct change is this. We also have this official announcement here, proud to share that Veve has completed the full migration of its digital collectibles to the collect chain. Meaning the collect chain is then also part of this whole thing, right? There's Veve, there's the collect chain, and then as Dr. Profit here says, the new source of truth is collectscan.com. So I am done looking at a Mutascan now, and I can now say I can look at least here now at all the addresses, at the blocks and so on. I will still have to see how this works, right? But I can see everything on the Collect blockchain explorer now. So collect chain is here. We see everything that's happening on the chain apparently here. I think this needs to improve a little bit so that we can really find our stuff just as on the Mutascan. But so far so good. There is a new page for us to look at. Yeah, and exactly as Bobby says here, we need the token ID inside the Veve detailed section hyperlinked to the collect scan page. I think, yeah, if it could be a little bit more, let's say, user-friendly, that would be great. But okay, phase 1 complete. The source of truth is now collect. So a lot of cool things are happening here. And for me, it just tells me that at least in this case, I've betted on the right horse so far, even though that the Ecomi token is down. But maybe that's a buying opportunity, who knows, right? At some point, I think we will see a reversal here for OMI, and we definitely will not do it now, but we have to see, of course, what's going on here, Web3 approach and so on. I think they are absolutely on the right path here. And for sure, that makes Ecomi one of the surviving and more interesting altcoins in the market with everything that is going on, right? I think that Ecomi really did a step here, whereas other altcoins went completely into the shitter. The project fathers or founders were in other projects stopping to talk about the token, abandoning the token, selling into it, right? We have a lot of projects that are going just down horribly right now, whereas this looks a little bit more controlled. And I think there was even wasn't there a thing that is even holding back good against BTC? I don't know. I somehow can't. I somehow can't put OMI against BTC. Does it work like this? No. Does it work like this? No. Also don't. Yeah. I somehow can't look at OMI against BTC. If someone tells me how to do this, I'm happy. But yeah, against BTC, OMI did hold strong. So usually it works like this, right? OMI against USDT. So if I go OMI BTC, I should be able to select OMI against BTC, but somehow I can't, right? Yeah. Somehow I can't do this. If they do this reverse merger, do you have any thoughts on what they may do with OMI, if anything at all? I think we discussed this a little bit, or we only scratched this topic, but let's look at it. I think they will. So the last bull run in Veve was mainly driven by the excitement over crypto, and people were finding the Ecomi token, and then they looked at what Veve has to offer, right? So I definitely think they will give value to the Ecomi token, and they really want to do something with the Ecomi token. Because if you are not in this blockchain space, you having digital collectibles is not worth much, right? In my opinion. Yeah. So that is happening. I think that there will be stuff happening with Ecomi, and they will have to make Ecomi or continue to make Ecomi a major part of the solution. Without it, it doesn't really do much, right? I mean, you're not Pokemon Go or something like that, right? You have an NFT crypto community. So you and the moment, this is also something, right? You can look at every altcoin, right? Every altcoin, whatever you take, is underperforming. And I mean, even like, for example, take this MK or Devi or whatever, right? I mean, look at this. It's crazy, right? Let's get rid of this. New all-time lows, right? Devi, USDT, new all-time lows, right? This is insane crash, but it looks like MK, right? Crazy drawdowns. MK posting on a regular basis. Devi didn't post like in 2 weeks. So, but I think in many altcoins, people are offloading, right? Of course, the major altcoins that they did hold a little bit stronger. For example, Uniswap, just as an example, right? But also they are losing support now. By the way, also here on Uni, we see 1010, right? This is 1010. But if we're looking at this was support. And now Uniswap just lost support, right? The smaller altcoins, MK, Devi, and so on, lost support already before. Link, Chainlink, right? Didn't lose support yet, but is at support. Has touched major support. We will see what's happening. But for many altcoins, there was a head and shoulders pattern playing out, right? Sui, right? Another one. Major support lost. Bam. Down. 1010, by the way. 1010 wick here, right? What about Casper? What is the Casp? Is it Cas? Yeah, Casper, right? Look at this, right? I mean, there was a big support here. Then it was overhead resistance. Now down, right? We're really coming back down into every altcoin does this, right? You can't just fixate on one altcoin and say it's doing badly, right? What is the BitTensor, right? Tau, yeah. Tau USDT, right? Look at this. Tau, this was major support, right? This here was major support. Fell through it, right? I mean, probably there is a little bit longer history on Tau on KuCoin, yeah, but still, right? That was support. Tau is below it. Like all this altcoin market had another way. I mean, here you see how it started. This is the launch of BitTensor, right? There's much more way to go down. I would not go and buy this right now, because I do believe that once you see something like this, and also here, right, you have head, and this was slightly higher. This is a head and shoulders pattern. It just broke down, right? And you see this everywhere across the market. Let's see. I think CollectChain and Stacker have more plans for OMI as well. Just a hunch. Absolutely, yeah. I agree with you. But you see it in all altcoins. You see basically this going on. And if you take the monthly candles here, you are breaking below. If you take this ultimate wick as last chance, maybe we'll see something. But I mean, not much indicators and so on. But this is BitTensor, right? Everywhere you go, you will see that altcoins are doing poorly, extremely poorly. This is high risk, but could also be high return, right? Let's go with Polygon here, for example, on let's see where we have a bigger chart. Polygon, do we have a Gate.io chart? There we go. Like, this is Matic, and I mean, this is resistance, right? So as long as we don't go, and this is they relaunched, right? There's more history, but they relaunched on Pol instead of Matic, right? Before it was Matic. Everyone should know what BitTensor is and what it does. This is the #1 project out of all projects. Exactly, but it still means, right? It is a big project, but it still it still can go down another 50% from here, right? It can absolutely, in my opinion, it can absolutely go back to sub 100, right? It absolutely can go back to sub 100. And maybe that's then a great time to accumulate it, right? Maybe. Yeah, BitTensor could be one of the big ones. Could be. But you cannot know for sure, right? So that is basically, I mean, we see also this shit show going on, right? Some random projects going nuts while other projects are down. Look at Avalanche also, right? Avalanche was like, the big gaming chain, whatever, right? We are back to multi-year support right now. And we could break it also here, right? This is bad, right? Multi-years, it's here, right? This is multi-year support. And you are not, I mean, now, like the RSI has never been like this, right? I mean, let's see if we have any other chart that is even longer. There you go, right? Binance US, KuCoin Kraken maybe. No, I mean the oldest charts. Here you go, right? This chart, this on Binance. There's a lot of stuff, right? Yeah, and this is the support, right? That's your support right now. And this once this trend was broken, it was relatively clear. We don't really need that, but this is the overhead resistance. Okay, this can be. I mean, this is the range, right? And if we break, we can break down here for sure for AVAX, right? There's just some examples. Think about it. Anyways, guys, make sure to smash up the like button right now. Subscribe to the channel. I hope you did like the discussion, the information today, and yeah, also share it with friends. If you have any Veve Ecomi friends, share the part about Veve Ecomi with them. And yeah, wherever you are on the world, have yourselves a great morning, evening, day, night, or afternoon. And I catch you in the next video or live stream. Have a good one, everyone, and bye bye.